seagulls follow the trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes! Here we go, the T.N.F, the soundproof T.N.F. The T.N.F are the best microphones in the business. We are back already. Connor's fucking about, you can tell already. I mean, he's...
Right, he's away.
David, this can't be happening. David,
So I go on theme here, recorder.
I was joking. I mean, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, mate.
I can't. We just did a 15-minute warm-up. We've put him through his paces. We're like, he was fine.
Hamstrings went already. He's pulled his hammy in the warm-up.
Sorry, boy, I don't know what happened there.
Hallelujah.
The intro started playing, the sound just died, and I thought, I'll be all right. Once we get in, we'll be fine. It still was I don't know what that was, but it wouldn't be like me and the T.N.F to know have some kind of technical difficulty. So we're all
technical night for him.
That's a valid point. But anyway, I'll get back to do my intro. Welcome to the T.N.F. The night we hand over the keys to the passengers. We let you guys bring up the talking points so that we don't have to. So we can entertain all your thoughts and opinions. And I've got two guys who can think on their feet. And that is David Logue, the regular T.N.F, Mr. T.N.F, if you will. And the new guy in town, the new sheriff on the block, Conor McCann. A slightly younger and probably more handsome version of me and David, to be fair to the wee bastard.
Oh, he's making me blush, come on.
Oh, it's annoying. It's annoying. But, brilliant to have Conor on, and this time we're expecting it to be the three of us all the way through to the final.
Here's hoping, mate.
T.N.F. David Logue, how the devil are you, mate? You good?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully we're all good with internet as well tonight. We've got the microphones sorted. We've got the Wi-Fi sorted. We're just sorted. If I'm sounding more nasally than usual, it's just the old halfy there. It's absolutely stressing me out.
Moustache, mate. It's that fucking moustache. Your voice.
It's that.
You got that
That's
moustache,
it. I've got a few more hairs on my chest, and I'm feeling ready to go and fly a jet. I've been getting called Rooster all week before. I'll take it. He was a cool cat, him. Like,
What about you, Connor, son? I like that top, mate. Nice striping
Oh,
under there,
cheers,
mate.
mate.
Aye.
Cheers.
Hey, you're at it, mate. You're at it. Aye, big boys clothes for the big induction, if you will, for the T.N.F. You've decided to step up the map with a clobber. I like it, mate.
Let's just call this the debut.
You good, son?
Aye, magic, mate.
Brilliant, mate. Well, this is a night I would like to very quickly. I've posted already one link, right, for, you know, obviously donating to Del Boy's amazing charity, because I'm going to do another one now. I know she will not be watching, but a girl I know called Ruth, lassie, she sounds as anything. She sadly had bad news. She basically was going to do a hula hoop challenge, guys, right? Every day from Macmillan Cancer Trust, and I think it was 15 minutes long. She had to hula hoop, so she'd only share like 30 seconds. She went, nobody needs 50 minutes of me just like using a hula hoop. But anyway, she smashed her targets, but only 3 days into the challenge, she dedicated it to her mum, who was going through a cancer battle. Sadly, that battle was lost either yesterday or recently by her mum. So only 3 days in, but that doesn't mean necessarily that, you know, the donation should stop. So I'm going to just post a wee link there onto the Facebook for Ruth. An amazing girl. If any of you have got £1, even a couple of £, just to donate. It's a real shame that she was only 3 days into what was a cool, very unique challenge that she was doing for cancer research. And sadly, you know, things have took a turn for the worse, and she's dealing with a lot on her own. So just to let you know, Ruth, not that you'll be watching, but our thoughts and our prayers are with you and your family. Anyway, after all that, I don't like doing all that stuff, but you've got to sometimes think it's right. We will get down to talking Celtic. We are looking for everyone in the comments section to start giving us some sort of posts to talk about, because we've not got a clue. We're winging it. We're the T.N.F team. The T.N.F, we don't come up with any talking points of our own. It's down to you guys. This is the night we give you the keys. If you've not already hit the like button, please do, because it gets the channel more traction. Already sitting a healthy 70 watching live. Not needed to put a show on at the same time as anyone else is on a Thursday recently. So apparently the T.N.F's doing pretty well on its own, guys. Also, if you want to become a member, you may. It is an optional choice to become a member, of course. It's £1.99 a month on the old YouTube. It's totally optional. Our content will always be free. And if you want to just become a subscriber, hit subscribe. It costs you fuck all. But anyway, lads, it's time to start talking Celtic. And the first talking point, people want to go on about Connor. I'm going to come to you first. Everyone wants to seem... I even spoke about Sousa. He seemed the sexy name in our transfer links, Connor, didn't he? It looks like that bus, if you like, instead of ship, has passed. Are we gutted, or do we really not even know if we're gutted or not, do we?
I wouldn't say gutted. I'm a wee bit disappointed, because obviously for the last maybe week or so, it's been kind of the name on everyone's lips. A Brazilian midfielder. There's sort of something quite sexy about it, you know. But, you know, we never knew the guy. We don't know really what he's all about. I made the mistake of watching a YouTube video and getting quite excited about him. That's the only kind of thing that lingers with me about being quite disappointed. I'd let myself get that wee bit of excitement, thinking, this maybe is just going to happen. But I was hearing that David was saying just before we were on, Fabrizio Romano, the Italian journalist, tweeted something out in relation to Espana. I also seen something yesterday about PSV as if that was a done deal, but obviously that's came to some kind of gutter rag.
That got very quickly poo-pooed in the actual... It was a Dutch tweet from a Dutch journalist. They went, no, PSV are miles off this deal. So I know what you mean, though, because yesterday it did look kind of like, oh, they took, like, are they in the lead for this signing? And then very quickly it seemed to turn into... Actually, it was the polar opposite. It was in Holland. They were like, no, we've got no chance of getting him.
It also seemed kind of the last couple of days, it seemed as if it was going to be a kind of tough deal to negotiate on our kind of terms. I think, I can't remember the name of the team he actually plays for, but I know they're part of this City group. I don't think the City group are too keen on letting him go out permanently or with an option to buy it. If you're just bringing a guy in for a season-long loan with no kind of real options at the end of it, is it really a beneficial transfer for Celtic? The boy would need to be really good, let's be honest.
Well, there's the key point here, Connor. I'm going to come to David on this very quickly, straight away, because I think you've opened us up into a brilliant avenue already. Why would it be loan at first? Is it because between 7 and 8, not 78 million? That'd be crazy. Is it because 7 to 8 million pounds is just still too much of a stretch for Celtic to go all out and spend on a player without having a year of knowledge on them? Is it still that Celtic are slightly conservative in their approach to transfer fees that I will always continually bang the drum on are not big in 2022? In fact, in the competition we're about to be one of 32 clubs in, between 7 and 8 million pound is below the national average. David Jink, that's put a break on the deal. The fact that we would not go as bold as just offering the money up front. And maybe, to play devil's advocate, is it because Ange and potentially whoever it is in charge of the money at Celtic were not maybe as convinced that this player was worth that?
I don't think Ange has been convinced the players wanted to come. I think it's getting to the point where it's like, right, he's been linked with us for 3-4 weeks now. It's not seemed to have gotten, the ball's not really started rolling, the bus has just started moving on him, you might say. And I think we're all just, like you say, Connor, it's a sexy signing. I think we're all, despite not knowing really, let's be honest, I don't think we knew anything much about him apart from we're told that City Group, part of the City Group, he's meant to be a good player. And the YouTube reel looks great. Other than that, I don't think we really know much about him. I know there's been statistics being put out there now that you can look into him a bit more to get a bit more detail if you're into that. However, I started to think it's just got to the point where Ange's just like, right, he's not coming. It's that whole Riley McGree all over again. He's not looking like he's committed. He doesn't look like he wants to come. I'll find someone that does. There is definitely arguments there. Whether the board have went, it's a wee bit too much to spend on a player we don't know enough about. I'm with you on it, Bhoycie. I don't think it's that much in the grand scheme of things, considering the treasure chest that we have sitting there, the war chest.
Yeah, the war
However,
chest.
I kind of seen it more as I seen him as the loan to buy option that worked well for us last year. And I thought that was worth the risk. Try before you buy. I think he would have been worth looking at. But if he's not coming, he's not coming. We move on. Ange will have a plan B. I'm sure he has a plan C as well. So we move on. I'm just going to be 2 minutes. I keep having a wee bit of issue with Mike. I'll be back in a wee second.
No worries, mate. No worries at all. This is standard now for a Thursday corner, as you know very well, mate. But I think it's very interesting. I mean, if he was going to be this loan to buy signing, it's interesting if we were trying to do that at this stage of the summer. For me, Connor, your loan to buy options, me and Jonathan were tickling the point on Monday. We were going, that would be the one that those type of, bids or opportunities you'd be trying to take advantage of for me would be in the final chapter of our summer window, as opposed to, let's be honest, we're at the very early stages. We're at the spring of the transfer window. This is where really for Celtic to even have the work done that they've got done is very encouraging, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's actually quite good again. If we've got clarity, this player ain't going to be for us. Sound, we move on. And again, as I was saying to Jonathan, Connor, I wonder what you think of this. Like I was saying to Jonathan, I've never felt this serene calmness that we all just seems to surround us right now in the summer. Sousa's one of those players you're hanging your hat on a couple of years ago. Probably a lot to do with the fact we'd be aligning a Champions League playoff qualifier coming up in the near future, along with that transfer sort of needing to get pushed over the line. And if it misses, then us panicking. But right now we're sitting with this, as I say, unusual feeling of, well, our next game's still not for another 24 days. The same day the Bhoycie bus goes live at the Bullfrog on the 31st of July, Motherwell. Same day, right? The 31st of July is Flag Day. That's actually our next competitive fixture. Connor, that gives us 24 days to work out if we want to hold a midfielder or not. If it ain't considered days in the life of Ange, is a heck of a lot more than to me and you. We'd be scraping the books right now. I think for Ange, he goes, that's 24 days for me for you to get the other target that I told you about 3 months ago, guys. Yeah, that's where I think he's at with this transfer game.
Aye, absolutely. I mean, I think we do want a holding midfielder. I think that's maybe, especially when you consider us going into Europe next year, I think that's maybe the kind of missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. But as you say, like, very, very relaxed about the whole thing at this moment in time, because, like, to be honest, when I first kind of seen the links to Sousa and I seen the other clubs that were linked to him, you thought, right, there's going to be a bit of a transfer tussle. And the last few days, I've kind of mostly been seeing Anthony Joseph on it, and he's saying like as much as 20 clubs are in for him. You're kind of like that. This boy's going to have to sit down, assess his option, and do you know what? I think I just kind of get the feeling that if I've been on the phone to you and I can't sell you the dream, then you're no for me. So on to the next one, whoever he may be. I mean, we've seen the day we were talking just before we came on, the links to a certain Mr. Fanny for the Dudu Dahan clientele. So there's anything in that, well, we've obviously used the Dudu Dahan avenue quite a bit. I've got to say, I've not seen anything on the guy to make any kind of judgment about what kind of player he is. To be honest, I don't even know if he's a holding midfielder. I know he plays in the midfield. I don't even know if he is like this kind of holding midfielder type role. But
yeah. Let's go to Connor. I'm going to go to David on this though, Connor, because it's funny how times change. Now, right now, we're kind of going, oh, we don't know. I think it's a Dudu Dahan player. I'm sorry, you rewind 12 months ago, and if we think we're still getting fed Dudu Dahan players when it's meant to be a new regime, we'd be saying, it's not really changed here, has it? What's going on? Yet, such is the landscape of everyone's mind now with Celtic. It's went from absolute desperation to absolute elation, and everything we do is a positive sign. Even when it is going back to the old, what is it, the well? You're going back to the same well, isn't it?
Is this on my end as well?
I think he's frozen again. So, in case he doesn't come back in time, from what I was getting from that is is it a good idea to still be going back to the same well over and over again? Is the regime really changed under Ange? There's an argument there and evidence to say maybe not. However, I think when you see the likes of Abada that came from that well, it almost allows you some leeway to say, right, okay, well, we know Sorrow hasn't worked out, but then there's, for every Sorrow we've got an Abada. So it's a case of what has he still got to offer us? Is he going to provide us another Abada, or is he going to provide us another Sorrow? And Ange, you could argue Ange doesn't really have much experience other than Abada from going to that well. So he's maybe looking at a bit of a more positive perspective than we are, because we can't help but look at the Sorrows. And I'm pretty sure Beaton came from that way.
Beaton was there's been a fair few, even the likes of Efe Ambrose going back. He actually came for the Israeli league. He obviously not an Israeli international, but
he came from that league.
And that an avenue we've used probably 6 or 7 times over the last maybe decade, let's say. Probably more that weren't a success than were a success, but aye, more misses and hits, as you say, aye.
Yeah.
But you know, as you say, Abada came in last year. I think he was actually the second signing behind Asazi Urigide. That was a quiz question I get wrong. But let's say it was the first proper signing we brought in last summer. It was a bit underwhelming at the time, because we're like, right, if we just went back to Dudu Daha and said, right, let's just get the best young talent you had and let's just kind of throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. But Abada really did stick, and then we started to see kind of the fruits of our other markets come to life. So, you know.
So what we were saying, boys, while you were away there, was we could look at that Ange maybe has a bit of a more. It was looking at the Dudu Dahan as a more a clean slate. He's only really had the experience of Abada coming in from his trip to that well. So maybe he's looking at a more positive light than we are. Hence why the regime maybe doesn't feel like it's changed so much, because obviously the boards maybe went, look, we've got this agent, he's providing us this player, we want you to take a look at him. I'm obviously just speculating here. And just went, cool, he looks good, bring him in, he's been a success. So he's went, well, from my experience, the agent's provided me a good player, so why wouldn't I look at him again? However, us as fans have had more negative experiences coming from that well. And so I guess you could argue that it's not the worst idea from Ange's perspective, but we apprehensive about it. What I was wanting to say was, now I've been saying, we've been asking what kind of players do we need this season. I have said a few times, central defensive midfielder. The more and more I think about it, I'm starting to lean the way that, do we really need to focus on that position? Could we be focusing on spending a wee bit more money and maybe, say, a centre back or a striker? Because when you look at that midfield, I know we were playing against maybe not the best opposition, to say the least. However, I was very impressed from what I've seen with you could argue, our almost B team. Like Idrigucci looked very, very tidy. I even thought McCarthy looked a lot sharper. He looked a lot fitter. It started to put a little doubt in my mind that I'm going, maybe we could start focusing on looking at other positions rather than worrying too much whether this Sousa's going to come in or this Fanny is going to come in, or that player that we're linked with, Dudu Dan.
I think the thing is with the Dudu Dan, the reason I feel relaxed about it, lads, right, is because I just look at it as Ange goes, I don't give a fuck who his agent is. I think he's good. Like, yeah, okay, you might have recommended to him, but he's got no airs or graces about what the preconceptions could be and what the backstory is. He really doesn't care about stuff like that. Like, see, Abada wasn't a great sign for us, like, in terms of when he joined, you went, fucking hell, same as it ever was. This is, really going, this is just Neil Lennon, a different Australian mask on. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how it felt. You were like, that's the type, like, that was the signing he would have made. But really, what Andrew's actually doing is going, no airs or graces, don't give a fuck what's happened in the past. If a guy wants to present a player to me and I think he can improve the squad, I'll take him. I'll sign him. I'll have a look at him. I'll chat to him at the very least. That's what he's done. And that's what he'll continue to do. And if Dudu Dahan happens to be the source for the next 10 signings Ange Postecoglou makes, it won't because he's in bed with Dudu Dahan. I mean, proverbially. But it won't be because he's also, being held to ransom by this either. It's because he's genuinely went, of all the options for the position I want to strengthen, it was a Dudu Dahan player. And if it's a Dudu Dahan player 6-7 times in a row, so be it. So be it. That's the difference with Ange. He doesn't give a fuck about all that preconception, perception, the way things look to the outside, the fact that, someone is the tail wagging the dog, Ange. He's like, oh, shut up. I'm not interested in any of that shite. Connor, I don't care where the players come from. As long as Ange just signed them off at the end of the day and he's decided that's who I want. And again, I take David's point, though, in terms of position. I think there's a few areas he's looking at. I don't think he's necessarily going, I need a holding midfielder, then a forward, then a centre-back. I think he'll be looking at them all at the same time. It's whatever opportunity or whatever person of interest he gets the first chance to speak to will be the first that we're heavily linked with, Connor. Do you know? And I feel quite satisfied that whoever it may be in Ange's reign will be because Ange has decided the final call on whether they suit wearing a Glasgow Celtic jersey or not.
Oh, 100%. That's the way it's going to be for this Ange second season to look. We've heard so much about how Ange really comes into his cell in his second season and this, But, we've not got a massively different team thus far, so but we've seen Bernabei a wee bit yesterday. We're going to see what we do now. I personally think, kind of judging by what we've seen, it seems like it is going to be a holding midfielder next on the agenda. But as you say, yes, we've seen Joey in yesterday, but we might actually see another centre back. We'll probably see another forward at least. That's the three positions I would actually agree with. I would say that's the three positions we are going to strengthen in. Whether that be starting forwards or what. But I think in terms of a holding midfielder, I think that's definitely where we're going next.
I think it's very important that we just get the pieces of the jigsaw can be assembled by Ange as the season gets nearer. What is important is he gets the pieces for that puzzle together now. I don't give a shit what order it's in. And I actually don't care either if he might have seen something in one of the pre-season friendlies. I don't mean the one last night. I mean, I do appreciate that the opposition we're against was absolute dead rubber. But, you know, someone like Johnny Kenny up front, what if he was to make an impact the next 3-4 games, David? And Ange goes, you know, that striker that we're all kind of in agreement that,
Do you know, I actually forgot all about him. Do you know that? Like,
and there's goals straight away.
In January, but I completely forgot we signed him.
His finishing looked tidy to me.
Aye.
Say he starts doing that against a Rapid Vienna, David, then against maybe a Blackburn, then against a Norwich. Suddenly maybe Ange's going, actually, this is my transfer window in a completely different way. Because part of his window, this window isn't just about signing players for other clubs. It's giving yourself the opportunity to see guys that otherwise wouldn't during a domestic season, during a European season. You're not going to see these guys given a run out. For God's sake, Chris Julian couldn't get a run out for 6 months. You know, he's not going to just hand them out during the campaign. But I think also Ange's got an eye for a player. Could someone step up from the youth, like Mr. Kenny up top? David, could that be an answer? Could there be a wee surprise, a wee sting in the tail from the youth that Ange goes, do you know what? Last year it looked like I was hamstrung by having to use youth. This year, I actually want one of those youth players to come into the equation. That excites me because, as I say, and I'll go back to it, Ange has an eye for a player, David, regardless whether they're Celtic already or potentially a Celtic signing.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I seen Kenny starting, I too felt like, oh wow, cool, we're getting to finally see what this boy's all about. Because I mean, there was a fair bit of chat when he joined us, and I think he went straight into the B team, and it was like, oh, this is another one for the future. But am I right in saying that the rules have now changed for the B team in the lower leagues, that they can only have so many foreign bought players? So I think he's got himself a real good opportunity to show what he could offer. You know, you brought me in from another club to play, hopefully in the first team. This is my opportunity. I'm going to take it, and he certainly did impress yesterday. Again, yes, he was probably playing against some plumbers and part timers, etc.
But you can only play what's in front of you, can't you?
Exactly.
You've got to just grab every opportunity, David. Eh? You've got to grab every opportunity.
His second goal was a great finish. I think he took that really, really well. Really
totally
instinctive.
Totally agree.
And let's be serious, this boy had a hat trick on a plate until Big Julian wanted to make sure he was getting stuff.
That was bizarre, eh?
He was just like, nah, mate, I'm having this. If I'm not going to Schalke, I'm getting back in that fucking team. Get out my way. But at the same time, I'm really happy. Like, I wanted to see him get his hat trick. I was a bit like, come on, Julian. But at the same time, same argument is, Julian's he's showing the hunger that I want to see, that he's going, no, I'm still here. I'm not going to Schalke now. I'm still here. And I want to make sure that the manager sees that and as a centre-back, scoring from a header, which we want to see more of, and what we've arguably been missing for a season and a half. But going back to Kenny, sorry. Yep, it's one of those things. Maybe we have that player that we're looking for just right under our noses, and if, like you say, if he's impressed enough to start against your Rapid Viennas, your Norwich, your Blackburns, and he takes those opportunities, why not? Because we now know that Ange has a good track record of producing youth players and giving youth players a chance, and he might be the breakthrough star for next season. But only time will tell, and I really hope that he does get more opportunities, because I did like what I've seen. Very sharp, very, very clever for a young player. Movement was good.
I also think as well, do you know what I like about the friendly last night? I mean, I didn't pay, you're not going to go, oh, Celtic were amazing, weren't they? But the one thing we will say is, it's a mindset thing for Ange. This is what he's looking out for right now. He's going, who's taking this seriously? And do you know what? As much as Julian, yes, he looks like he's been a bit of a wanker. I think if anyone was to appreciate that, it might be Ange. He might go, do you know what? He's trying to catch my eye. He's trying like his best. He's taking this moment seriously. He's ripping he's stealing tactics off him. But it might not be the worst thing in terms of an attitude sort of example. I think that might be the attitude that Ange's actually looking for in these games. Let's be honest, guys. He's not watching that game yesterday going, I've learned a lot about the ability of my team. We're fucking what a group of lads we've got. No, but what he might be looking for is, who thought that this was just a freebie? Who thought they could just rock up here in any condition? Who thought that this sort of match might just be one that they're a wee bit above because they're a Celtic first teamer these days? I don't think he's looking for that. I think he's looking for the opposite. I wonder, Connor, if that's what we might find out with Celtic going for very unglamorous friendlies this year, Connor. And they have, let's be honest. I mean, it's not like we've not broadened their horizons. I mean, I remember under Soundy Claxon, Martin O'Neill, we used to go to Los Angeles and stuff, play Man United, play Liverpool, Boca Juniors, proper teams, proper glamorous ties. I wonder if part of Ange's reasoning is he wants to find out the metal behind these guys now. He wants to find out what they're all made of. He wants to go, are you taking this seriously? Because let me tell you one thing. See, domestically, winning a league in Scotland is going to involve Tynecastle pishing down with rain on a Wednesday night. It's going to involve Ross County when it's Baltic. It's got in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people. It's going to involve these sort of ties where it's unglamorous. It's not fun. It's all about going to be your attitude that comes in. Do you think, Connor, there's a wee bit of that he's looking for in these pre-season friendlies this year?
Aye, definitely. You'll see it for the very, very first kick of the game yesterday. I don't know if you caught it in the camera or if you were watching live or not. But see, when Celtic took kick-off, the first thing you heard Ange say, because obviously it was played in front of about 50 folk yesterday, so you could hear the coaching staff quite a lot through the game yesterday. The first thing you heard him say was 2-touch. So he's got a certain way he's wanting us to take that game last night. But also on top of that, you actually look at who played last night. It actually was quite a big kind of game for the ones that were playing. Because you look, there's probably 3 that were in that starting 11 last night that are likely to be in the starting 11 come the 31st of January against 31st of July, against Aberdeen. So see, for the likes of your Boss-in-Law, Julian, Johnny Kenny, that was all right, playing against a terrible team, but it was still the chat. It was still, you've got to take this chance to be in the thinking for the rest of the friendlies to kind of put your name out there for, as I say, the 31st of July and moving on beyond that. We're saying that because Rapid Vienna on Saturday, we're going to have probably most of the international big hitters back. So these guys have kind of now made a wee case for themselves by looking up for it, by taking the game seriously, essentially. Because let's be honest, a game against a team of that quality, we've all been there before, probably on the wrong end of it as well, at whatever level we've played football. But it's easy when you're playing against a team that's a pure different quality to just eventually not take it seriously. So I think in that sense, it was important for these players to all be right up for it for the get-go, because how many chances realistically are they going to get if they've sacked that game off yesterday? I think pretty much everyone that played yesterday done themselves a fair bit of justice. And it's easy to say, the opposition were terrible, but again, you can only play what's in front of you.
I totally agree with that, David. I think Connor's absolutely bang on the money. The one thing we're now beginning to learn is no such thing as a friendly. It's good to get back to those days. We don't want to be sitting there taking it all lightly, David. You know that it's a friendly. Just take your foot off the gas. Ange, if you want to get in Ange's team, the time to impress is now. Now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, never tomorrow. It's got to be the moment. It's got to be now. That's when he's looking for it. And I think it'll be the moment you least expect it that will actually impress him the most. I think it'll be games like that yesterday. He goes, I actually thought some of you might just dick about today. But it actually turns out you've done exactly what I'm looking for in a Celtic player. Well done. And maybe Johnny Kenny then, he goes, well played, young man. I know there'll be stronger tests for you, but you know what? You'll be more involved in those stronger tests because of what you did today. That's healthy for me.
That it's all about attitude, and the attitude towards that game was mop the floor with them. Go out there and make it a massacre, and they did. It was an absolute massacre. Like, they were 4-0 up after 24 minutes, and I thought, right, well, this game's dead in the water now. They'll probably just take the foot off. They don't want to, cause any unnecessary injuries, and they just kept going. It was your typical relentless Celtic performance that Ange wants, and that was, like we say, there was only maybe 3 of them that you could see in our normal starting 11. But what I like to see was the attitude that Ange has brought to the first team has bled its way down to the players that aren't really, you're not seeing as much of. That it's that attitude's just been instilled into all of them. Whether you're going to only play that game there, and you might not even see another pre-season friendly, and you'll probably not see another game. Who knows? You might end up out on loan. That mentality of we are Glasgow Celtic and we are going to run right through you has been instilled through the entire squad. And it was clear to see. It was so clear to see. I was starting to think it was going to be a cricket score. I didn't think it was going to stop. I honestly didn't. It was one of those moments where it's like, just stop. He's already dead. Like, it was just like, it was relentless. It was great to watch. It was these friendly games, like you said, like you can't look too much into them. And like you watched the post-match interview with Ange, your typical Ange interview where he doesn't give too much away, but he's also very transparent. If that makes any sense, like he's quite clear and like, yeah, it was all right.
Do you still think though? I think with these games, you're absolutely right. You can't look for too much in a friendly, but you can look for one thing that's completely different. And that is attitude. Ian Barron comes in. It's his 49th birthday today. He's a Darlington fan. For some reason, he watches the bus all the time. Happy birthday, Ian!
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, mate. Fucking George Bowie, by the way, but fuck me. Anyway, Connor, I think it's very interesting about the attitude debate. But another thing that gets me, right? See, with this team, there's forgotten men, Connor. They get the opportunity to shine. Now, one name keeps cropping up all over Twitter, keeps cropping up in the group chat already tonight. Albion Ajeti. What the fuck's happened there? He was a year ago today, I think it was, captain of Celtic in Angie's first pre-season game.
Yeah.
Now, this is a guy, I think, who's fallen off a cliff, Connor. This is a guy that cost, at one point, West Ham 8.5 million, cost us 5.7 million. What's going on there? And where do we draw the line with guys like Ajeti? Connor, for me personally, I said this on Monday, I don't know your opinion, right? But I've actually given up on the old transfer fee thing. And before I come to you, I'm going to come to Dan Breen. Dan's a member of the channel. He's not coming to the Bullfrog. He's going to give it a miss. But earlier on, he was saying something again along the lines of...
I thought that's what I wanted to discuss, sir.
No. I mean, Dan, he hates Suki wee guys. This is the second Thursday in a row, Dan, you're pulling that narrative out. Mate, talk to us. What's your point, mate? Make it clear. Because we like to debate on the Bhoycie bus. Not quite sure what you mean about Suki wee guys, because I can rest assured the 2 guys that I'm speaking to right now, fucking hell, like, it's far from that sort of relationship we've got. But no, genuinely, the both the boys are out here out of total respect. So I don't know where you're getting this Suki nonsense from. And if you don't want to go to the Bullfrog, that's fine. There's going to be about 5 million other people that will be there. So hey, rock on. But Connor, Albion Ajeti, his race is run, mate. We've got to cut our losses now. The time is now just to let that go. Just come to an agreement for me to mutually terminate the contract. I don't see any benefit now in Celtic even trying to angle for a fee for a guy that looks so ordinary against a pub team.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know why he's in Austria, to be honest. But the guys obviously don't get any further part to play at Celtic. It's like ridiculously obvious. But I mean, I honestly think there is a player in that guy. Like, we've seen it early doors where you'll remember I think in his first 10 games he'd scored something like 7 goals. He's obviously a guy that has some kind of natural talent. He just seems like a guy that can't be asked, like, being at Celtic. I don't know if it's just the nature of kind of football in Britain doesn't suit him or whatever, because he's obviously been a player on the continent, because why else would West Ham pay 9 million to take him to London, then Celtic pay 5 million to take him off West Ham stands? But it's a puzzling one for me, because, as I say, I was actually buzzing when we signed him. I thought this is pay a wee bit more and you're guaranteed rewards. I said that after 10 games, that it's obviously looks foolish now. since that first 10 games, he's not kicked his arse. But as I say, I'm surprised he's in Austria. I don't really know what benefit it is to Celtic or even to Albion Ajeti to put him out there. The guy obviously can't be arsed. But as you say,
Nobody wants him.
Aye, exactly.
Nobody wants him. That's the problem.
Nobody wants, and you can kind of see why nobody wants him. His attitude's not there. But you could see it. You could see it yesterday. I'm going to. Aye, it did 100%. It did, because I'd be telling a lie if I said I actually seen the game when Ajeti was on yesterday, but I've seen the 2 chances he missed. He just slaps that ball, but he just doesn't want to be there. It's a red neck, actually.
David, this is the thing. I mean, we've got John Duncan coming in. I love John being in the chat because John's sound as fuck. John Duncan's just a Bhoycie bus staple, right? But he says you need to keep Ajeti fit to punt him. I think the days of us having any ambition to punt this guy, David, I'm sorry, I think they're long gone. I think there has to be a realising. Right, okay. Please do.
I have to disagree. Just for the sake of disagree. No, but no. He's John Duncan. He's got a point, John. Right? Because we've taken him, and what I was alluding to when I said nobody wants him. My point I was leading on to was, so that's why we've taken him out, because it is a case of we need to, like you say, keep him fit, keep him around, so people are almost aware that he's still there. Because if he wasn't on pre-season, I don't think a fucking club in Europe would have a fucking clue that he's still at the books at Celtic, because he's done nothing to merit any reason to even scout the boy. Like, I was going on about that attitude that has bled down to every player, and completely missed Ajeti. Totally forgot about him because he's almost meaningless. He's become forgetful. Like, you can just completely erase him out of your mind until he appears off the bench to miss 2 absolute sitters that I cannot comprehend how West Ham have managed to go. By the way, this guy's a £5 million. We paid £8 million for him. You're getting a bargain here. We've been absolutely ripped off.
We have been ripped off. I agree with that. And that's
we should just rip up his contract. Rip up his contract. Take our losses. We move on. We have to just move on.
He must be dwindling. I don't know what he's draining at the club right now, Connor. What would you estimate Albion Ajeti's weekly wages? I'm going to say between £15,000 and £20,000.
I mean, I'd be surprised if it was far off 20 grand. To be honest, a guy signed for £5 million
from the Premier League.
In terms of Celtic's transfer values, £5 million is a lot of money for Celtic still. So I'd be very surprised if it was there around about the 20k ballpark.
You've got to come up with an idea. You've just got to eventually go, look, how do we work this with you, Albion, that you leave and you fuck off into the sunset and we retain some sort of money? Because right now what he's doing is draining money at the club. Now, mutual termination tends to mean a payoff, but I would like to think Celtic could negotiate a payoff that wouldn't be as costly as another 12 months? Has he got another year, 2 years to go? Has he got 2 years to go?
Ajeti only signed 2 years ago. I'd be surprised if he's spent 2 years to go, have any less than a 4-year deal. It must have surely been a 4-year deal.
He's got 2 years to go, He's got 2 years to go.
I think if you could say to Ajeti, now, look, we'll pay you up 6 months to a year, you go and find yourself another club. It's not a bad deal, is it?
Why have we not offered him out on loan? Why have we not even said, look, here's a player that apparently costs £5 million. Do you want him on loan? Like, even Basel, the boy made his name at Basel. You tell me Basel aren't interested. You tell me Basel wouldn't be interested in getting one of the best players that they had at the club at one point. Like, that guy made his name there. That's what got him his move to West Ham. Like, it's his home country. There's surely somebody in his home country. This was a Swiss international.
David, see, to be honest, it was that was the same kind of that was along the same kind of lines as I thought. I thought this guy used to bang them in for Basel. Surely Basel would just come in and give us $1 million for him and happy days. Ajeti's away. Basel have got their star striker back, but it just seems even like even they don't want him now. They've seen how bad he's turned out to be. But
I would take a packet of Skittles and a tin of iron brew at this rate. Just fucking get the fuck.
I mean,
you're not wrong, by the way.
I want to go back to a point.
I don't know what good it does Celtic to have a guy like that sticking about, And I'm disappointed because I really thought when we signed him, I thought Ayeti was going to be a right good player. So
did
it's
I, mate.
disappointing,
I thought,
but it's really not worked out. So
I thought he was going to be our Gary Hooper 2.0. I genuinely thought this is our new Gary Hooper. See, when Lennon brought him in, I thought, right, here we go. We're going to have who did he have? Edward and Ayeti. It's going to be the new Stokes and Hooper, like the two of them. Who's going to outscore each other? Like Ayeti's that goal predator in the box, like what we saw for Gary Hooper. And he started off so well. Like, you know, he banged in a couple of goals right off the bat. I thought, here we go. This is our Gary Hooper 2.0, and it just really hasn't worked. Can I go back to a point earlier? And Danielle, I made a point in saying that I think that Julian was almost trying to let everyone know, look, I'm still fucking here, and I still want to fight for this jersey. And Danielle disagreed with me, and she thinks that he's trying to get himself in the shop window. And I hate to disagree, but I'd like to disagree with Danielle slightly. I don't think Julian
Shut the pod down. Shut it down. Shut the pod down. No, we don't do this on here. Oh, no, we can't have people disagreeing.
I don't think Julian is the player that needs to put himself in the shop window. I think he has a presence enough to be getting in the shop window if that's what his desired goal is. I mean, Schalke didn't come out and know, like, they've obviously liked to look at him in the past, and he's got a bit of a reputation, Julian. He's, you know, from what he's done for Celtic, you remember, and it's a complete opposite contrast to what you're seeing from Ayeti. I genuinely believe that Julian played that game with an intention to remind people who he is and why he's here, and Ayeti was the complete opposite. And that is why I'm more than happy to take a half-fit Julian right now and keep him at the club and see what he can offer us through half a season than keeping Ayeti. I'd rather just completely cut my losses with Ayeti. And I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I genuinely think that's why I think Julian was trying to. He seems to have that kind of. I know there's this whole thing about all of the French guys, have they got an attitude problem? He probably does. He probably thinks quite highly of himself, Julian, but there's no harm in that. You know, but he bets on himself, and I think he's either, you know, if he gets a move, you know, if it cases this performance gets me in the shop window. Not that I don't think, like I said earlier, I think he doesn't need to do that. I think there are clubs that would be interested in whether he passes a medical or if it's to do with his wages. I think, you know, clubs are still looking at him. I don't think anyone's looking at Ayeti.
See, to be honest, you've kind of put it right there. I think it's two totally different situations. Obviously, we paid very good transfer fees for both, but I think along the Julian kind of narrative, excuse me, sorry, I think Julian's going to, if Julian's going to leave, I think that, let's be honest, I think he's got a couple of shooters from, if the reports you read are to be believed, I think Julian's got maybe 4 or 5 potential shooters this summer. But Julian, I think, is more along the lines that it will have to be on Julian's terms and Celtic's terms, as opposed to Ayeti we were talking about there. We need to just get rid of him. I think if we're thinking the same about Julian as we were along the lines of Ayeti, I think Julian would already be away. But I think Julian's like, look, I've got no bad wee number here. I probably won't be a starter for Celtic going into next season with how good a partnership the other two formed. But I can be the third choice on probably, again, Julian, probably between 7 million, probably between 20 and 25 grand a week. Definitely one of the higher earners at the club. So I think he's like that. I've got it pretty good. So it has to be an enticing offer, and Celtic will be like that as well. Well, we've paid 7 million for him. He's still got a year, potentially 2 years left in his deal. It has to be on our terms, any potential transfer. And I think that's probably why it's not worked out with Schalke. Listen, there's the obvious, he's not been fit for a year. There was a lot of, I think the rumours were there was quite an intense kind of medical examination due to his recent injury history, but you don't know it all. You don't know. So hopefully it was a case of the deal never worked for all parties, and we move on to either seeing Julian try and fight for his place next season, or find a club that fits better to the demands of all parties.
What would you prefer to see? What's your preferred outcome with Julian? Is your preferred outcome that of we just let him head off into the sunset and thanks for the memories, or would you rather see a player of his ilk, his quality, which we know is he's got a good European pedigree. He's scored big goals for us. He's won his cups and finals. Would you rather see him fight for that position on the off chance that Starfelt doesn't start well, or heaven forbid, Cameron Carter-Vickers takes a bad injury? We've got to look at the bench and say, well, we've got a young Stephen Welsh who's played, who's done a job for us, or do we? If only we still had Julian. And that's if we don't end up bringing in another centre half. I think for me personally, and looking at the bigger picture, I would rather have a player of Julian's I'm looking for ilk to be on the bench at least. I would rather keep a player like that who knows the club, who's taking one for the team. Like, there's no beating around the bush. That boy put his body on the line in a meaningless game that we were cruising. One of the games that we arguably were only, from what I remember, we were cruising it. Even if that goal had went in, I didn't see us losing that game. Just, you could easy to say that now, knowing how bad we were. But like, that boy put his body on the line for Celtic Football Club, and you can't ask for much more from a player like that. So, sorry, back to the question: what's your preferred option there?
I'm actually quite conflicted. I mean, if you asked me this time last week, do you remember we seen the link to the young Schalke centre half? I forget his name now. He's a player in Football Manager as well. I forgot
the German under-21 player.
Yeah, aye. See, when I was like, do you know what? I actually think that would be a better avenue for Celtic. If we could get a Julian on the wages he's on and fill it with a real up-and-comer German under-21 international, somebody that's got the bit between their teeth. But, if something like that's not going to happen, I don't see any harm in keeping Julian about. It's all to do with Julian's probably, at this point, at very best, third-choice centre-half.
Do you think he's one of the top earners?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely.
I'd imagine he's.
Do you think that plays a part in the reasoning?
Top 5 earner.
Like, top 5 earner, not first team regular. It doesn't add up.
Aye,
100%. No, and by the way, I'm actually very much of the opinion that Julian. In fact, I think we're well versed in both him and Starfelt now. I prefer Julian. I'll say it, right? I think Julian in a good team could look even better, let alone a Neil Lennon side. I actually think, from what I've seen so far, Starfelt must have made over 40 appearances for Celtic now. Julian's approaching 100. Aye, for me, it'd be Julian. That's the honest truth. I don't think though. I definitely don't think it's a popular opinion right now. Starfelt's probably a bit better looking. Me.
We have short memories. Football fans, we have short memories, and it's easy to. Absence sometimes makes the heart grow fonder, but in football, it's quite the opposite at times. It really can. It's easy to forget when we're playing well. It's working with Starfelt and Julian, so everything's rosy. But we don't know what the future holds. Like I said, Carter-Vickers bailed Starfelt a lot of issues last year. Of course, he grew into his games and he got a little bit more confident. And when it came to just defending, he was great. But you don't know what's in the corner. It just takes a hamstring to ping. It could, a bad fall, a ban, and it's like shit. We don't have a great option for whoever we get in the Champions League. Like, could you imagine if we get a Tottenham, and you've got Harry Kane? Now, Harry Kane's a quality player, and I'm sure he'll scare the life out of most centre-backs. But, Stephen Welsh, no disrespect to the boy, but you're up against a player of that quality. Yeah, I'd be like, at least Julian has a bit of...
For me, Stephen Welsh cannot be the backup option for the Champions League campaign. That is no disrespect to him. Facts are facts. Not everything you say in life is personal about people, Sometimes you've got to give a strong opinion based on the ability. If you're the manager in particular, and I still do envy Andrew's role, but I don't envy certain aspects of the task on an emotional level. It's nothing Stephen Welsh has done wrong, but there's no danger you can go in and call your cavalry being Stephen Welsh as that's the go-to guy if either or or of my back two centre-halves are injured or suspended, and Stephen Welsh is next in line. It's just ridiculous to think that's Champions League quality enough. That, to me, would just be under-equipping the manager, giving us an uphill battle, but it's unnecessary, really. As I say, I think the reason we've got so much calm right now in the ranks, Connor, is because we're sitting there going, we've so much time to sort all this shit. So much time. Any changes and any tweaks we need to make to the squad, we've got weeks to do it. Weeks. The first game of the season domestically isn't for another 24 days. You know, you're looking at this, Connor, and it's a surreal situation for us fans. And it's almost like you could tell the way David was talking there. I was kind of almost getting myself into that frenzy again, going, fuck, what are we going to do if he's our third choice centre-back? But we're actually miles away from that being the situation, because Celtic, for once, have all their chess pieces in the right bit. You know, it's just everyone's sorted right now for us to have a good season. See, to be fair, if anything, and we don't want to be nasty to poor Big Ange, but it might ramp the pressure on him a wee bit more than most seasons, by the way, because I can't think of any other manager who's had it all laid out, and he's earned this situation, of course, by the way, to play devil's advocate. He's earned this, but I actually have never known anyone to know what their path for the season is. So it's so plain and obvious what it is that's in front of him. It's how he now operates that path. That'll be the interesting bit, and it'll be interesting as well how much we as a fan base scrutinise it, such has been the loving that Mr. Postecoglou's received so far.
Aye, definitely. Just harking back to Joey, and I think that when we were talking about it there, it's kind of brought me around to the idea that right now he is actually quite crucial to the squad. Whilst we've no signed another centre half, he is actually crucial to the squad.
Agree with that.
Yes, we've got plenty of time, but I actually do think we will sign another centre half, given we've been linked with quite a few. The young boy for Man City springs to mind as well as the boy for Schalke. I would love the boy for Schalke, but I think that was kind of hearsay for the Daily Record, to be honest. I don't think there's any more to that. But as you say, like, potentially the pressure could ramp up in Ange, but like, it's all Ange's doing that we're in such a good position now. Ange's basically built this team from the scrap heap, let's be honest, and we're going into... I'm actually really struggling to remember the last season we've been into in such a kind of strong position.
Weird. It's weird.
Again, I'm harking back to a game that really shouldn't be thought twice about last night, but yet you're even seeing last night, you're watching guys like Adiguchi and you're like, okay, now he looked a good bit away from the picture last season, and he actually
looks a Ballon d'Or winner right there, mate. He's a Ballon d'Or winner right there. You're watching going, Ballon d'Or.
Well, if he was playing the Austrian third division, he'd be fucking quality. But you're like that. See if we need to call on him this season. I'm actually quite confident he could do a job. McCarthy actually looked alright, looked quite sharp. Guys like Bosch and Lowe. Aye, it was good, but
would you have looked alright against that mob though, Connor? I think you would have probably scrubbed up not too bad against that team.
If I was playing alongside Tatati and Adiguchi with all the energy, I'd have looked fine. But like, aye, I know what you're saying. It's hard to, it's hard to get a balance on it, because as you say, the quality of opposition were just terrible. But anyway, I mean, as you say, the pressure Ange is potentially putting himself for being in such a good position going into this season is all his doing. So we've got to totally get behind him. He's not giving us any reason to no back him, you know what I mean? So
I kind
of forgot where I was going at that point there, to be honest. Like, I'm a wee bit lost in my...
Connor, this happens all the time. You get used to it, mate. You get used to it. Welcome to the T.N.F, mate. Welcome
to the T.N.F. The tangent forum.
I got about halfway through that point, I was like, what am I actually talking about here? What was
Connor, you get used to it, mate. See, when you could try to combine bottles of beer and do the T.N.F, mate, it doesn't work. Trust me.
I'm after them all. That's why I thought I'd have a wee beer.
I love you having a beer on. You're welcome to have a beer on the show anytime you like. By the way, big boy, we have no rules like that on the Bhoycie bus. As everyone should know, it's perfectly normal to drink a beer. It's perfectly not normal to just watch football all the time and drink cups of tea, wee and brown faces in the mug. Anyway, David Logue. David Logue. I want to bring up John Duncan's point here. This is very, very important. I think this question maybe in a month's time will be more relevant, but because it is close season, why not entertain it now? How much have we improved since the Bodo Glimt, I'm going to add a wee bit at the end, debacle? That's the way I see it. I thought that tie was a farce. I thought the first leg for a team that looked like it was peaking, we were so poor. And then a second leg, we decided effectively to chuck it, which I never ever want to see Celtic do again. I don't care what the tournament is. If it's European level, I never want to see it again. How much have we improved since then? Do you think winning the league title has changed us as a team? Do you think the personnel have just grown more into the role? Do you think the fact that we've got new signings and we've got permanent roles for Jota and CCV take us to another level? Are we much of a difference from the Bodo Glimt disaster?
It couldn't have got any worse with the Bodo Glimt. So, yeah, we've definitely improved. What I want to really focus on was what we were talking about earlier, and that was attitude. And our attitude towards last season at the start was our priority was to win the league and nothing else mattered. And that's a narrative, and that's an attitude I don't want us to have again. I think because of how low we felt at the end of that the 10 in a row season, that we had conditioned ourselves to go, it doesn't matter what happens in Europe, it's all about winning the Premiership back. And I think that attitude stunk, and it stunk to high heaven, and you could smell it through your screen coming through that second leg. It was, they didn't give a shit. I think it may have been the only time in Ange's career where he's felt like that as well, and I don't think he liked it. And I know, and like we keep harping back to this little game that we played the other night there against absolute nobodies, but you could see a meaningless game. They're two meaningless games, you could argue. Like the way that we looked at that game, it was almost meaningless against Bodo Glimt. We chucked it. We didn't care. It was all about the league. And then this meaningless friendly against these nobodies, and it was night and day. It was relentless, and it needs to be that now. Needs to be the attitude for now on. I think our attitude has improved massively. Obviously, we've gained our confidence, and our players know what they're doing, and we've all got our Ange's back, and winning two competitions last season, two more than we thought we were going to get. Our attitude now is, and it might be ridiculous, but we go in to win everything we enter, and that's how it should always be. And if it's just a case of that is our new mindset from that Bodo Glimt game, we've made a massive improvement. Going on what we've seen on the park, it couldn't have gotten, like I said, it couldn't have got been any worse. But we're much stronger. We've got a much stronger squad now. We've got much more. You can say, well, saying that, I think we had it was after January played, didn't we? So okay, we've now improved in the left back position, and we've now got another goalkeeping position filled. And, we're still looking to add in those areas. Quality in the pitch has definitely improved.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing my usual fucking Thursday night thing where I just keep fucking talking. Yes, we have improved massively since then, and we will see how we get on against a much better opposition. However, my biggest issue with the Bodo Glimt thing was, and it's the last thing I'll say on it, is we almost felt we were too good for this competition, and we should. They've not kicked a ball since for 3 months. We'll walk that one, and we almost took our eyes off the ball.
Is that the team of the fans though, David? We need to be clear on this. I mean, I can't imagine the players thought that. I think the players got a fright because not because they thought they were better than the competition. I just think for all the measures of Celtic success in since the turn of January, I think it was the first time we got a real fucking insight as to maybe things aren't as unbelievable as we thought. Whilst I felt it was an incredible domestic job that we did, I 100% feel that the Bodo Glimt thing isn't maybe the players underestimate them, David. I think that'd be a unique set of circumstances where players start underestimating opposition. I think the fans did. I agree with that. I 100% do.
definitely.
But
I fell into that narrative. I thought, oh, we should walk this. We should have. That was my mentality. And we were
100%. I did as well. I mean, I was. I think they lost 2 or 3 of their big hitters even as well. And I was like, we should be beating them with our big hitters in anyway. But especially when they started selling a few players, had me played for 3 months, as you said, I fell into the trap. I thinking it was going to be an absolute canter, to be honest.
They showed Ange Ball what Ange Ball should look like almost. That's kind of the vibe by after the end of the game. It's like they just did everything that we said we were going to do 10 times better. Like,
should we have won the game though? Should we have won that tie?
Of course we should have.
Do you mean should we have won it?
Take all that bullshit away.
Or on the balance.
Take all the bullshit away. We should have beaten Bodo.
On the balance of the night, Bodo should have won it. But in general, Celtic should have beaten Bodo 10 times out of 10. No, even 10 times out of 10.
We at that time went into that fucking like peacocks, remember? Not just because of underestimating some of the fans, and I agree with what David's saying to an extent on that. But I actually think the players went in at a real sea of confidence. We put in some of our best displays of the whole campaign right up to that match, and then we hid in that first leg, and then the second leg. I still find it inexplicable that we chucked it, but we're all three of us are in agreement. We're in a better place than we were now. Let me just remind you, we're going to need to be. This is Champions League football, Premier competition in the world for club teams, not Bodo Glimt territory. The Premier competition. We have to be better. It's literally not. It's not optional, guys. We're simply going to have to be, and that will happen if we do some further strengthening as well. I'm ready to do one more talking point. Should we do one more talking point, lads?
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah, but before we do, can I ask? When you say we were walking in like peacocks, are you trying to say that the players almost were arrogant and cocky? Could you say that?
No, in terms of form.
Oh,
in terms of form. So, yeah, maybe I've not explained that well. In terms of our form, we had really hit our stride at the point we played Bodo Glimt. In fact, for the whole point of the season, that's where you look at our peaks domestically. We're around that game. We were peacocks in the sense that, fuck, it's all clicking. It's all clicking. That's what I mean
that's
by
fine.
that.
No, okay, that's fine, because I was going to push back on you a little bit there, but if it's not what you meant, then it doesn't make any sense. Oh, I'm ready for you, right? I've got my teeth are there.
It was a really weird tie in the hole.
No more suki in this fucking Thursday night forum.
I don't know about the tie we played, Roy. We were on fire, as you say, but in that tie, my God, we were a disaster.
Let's hear this last topic. Come on, let's go for it.
Let's find one now. I don't know what the last topic is yet. I'm just going to have a wee look.
A little gander of the old T.N.F. The wee troops.
Has anyone got a topic they really want to talk about? Let's give it 30 seconds. Someone tells a point they want to talk about. Come on. Let's just come in. We'll give it 30 seconds.
I'll open another beer in the 30 seconds we've got. Last one for the night. I
don't start work till 1:30 tomorrow. I think we have to.
I'm going to Transmit this weekend. That's what I've got Friday off.
He's unreal, eh? He can't hide it, him. You know what I mean? He's brand new Fred Perry t-shirts. He's fucking
you got your bucket hat. You have your bucket hat ready, I'm sure.
It's in the wardrobe. I'll need to iron it.
Oh, class.
We'll go with Stubbsy Sauce. He's came in. And it's a pretty vague topic, but I think it's fine. We can talk about this. Absolutely. Connor, should Celtic build a team around a certain player? If so, then who? I'm not even going to give an opinion on it first. I'm going to come straight to you, Connor. What do you make of Stubbsy's point? Should we be building the team around just one player? Has football moved on from then, would be my caveat to that question.
Aye, in some ways I don't really believe in it, but in other ways I would actually argue we kind of did last season. Because if you think about it, like, the only real player that transitioned from the Lennon disaster into the... And I was going to call it supremacy. Let's not call it that yet, but it was a phenomenal debut season. But the only player that really transitioned to that was Callum McGregor for me. I'm actually struggling to think of another player that, all right, Ralston was there, was nowhere the season before. I'm actually struggling. Was Turnbull maybe you could say is the other one that did did transition from the Lennon team into the Ange team, but I think in terms of building around a player, I think we done that with Callum McGregor last season to a degree. Because Callum McGregor was basically, I don't know what you would call it, the glue or the...
It's the foundation for the club, for the team to build on.
Do you know what?
He's the constant tick. He's the tick-tock. TikTok, that's how a clock goes every single second. He is that TikTok, mate.
And you know, Callum McGregor had a massive role last year. Obviously, he was kind of rising for the ashes for what Scott Brown left behind. You know, a lot of people didn't fancy him as the captain, and he took to it like, I don't know, what would you say, a duck to water. And you know, he's seen all these signings come in. He galvanised the team. You could see Ange believed in him as a captain for the get-go. So, in terms of building a team around a player, I think we've already done that to a certain degree last season with Callum McGregor.
I think David Connor's nailed it. I think the comments coming in, the likes of Dell coming in, we cannot wait for Dell's debut. It's getting closer. He's itching. Big Dell. He's itching, man. But he's going to be top drawer. What a signing we made again, Dell. But I think he's absolutely right in what he's saying. Building it around a player for Celtic is possibly never going to happen again. But Dan Breen, of course, because he's playing fickle on a Thursday with us. Dale, you're a sook. But Dan, you're not bringing much to the party, mate. I want your opinion, Dan. I want you to prove why you're not a sook. Is it just agreeing with what people say make you a sook? Or does it mean they've actually formed an opinion and they're agreeing with someone else's? Dan, keep it classy, mate, because you're better than that. But I actually think we do go back to Dale's point, David. I don't think it will happen again. I actually think as much as Connor's got a point that Callum McGregor, he's probably the focal point of the team, i.e. getting the player of the year. But the team wasn't built around him per se, was it? It wasn't built around him. I think it's very much about building around the manager's ideologies now, David, isn't it? Football's moved on for just having Paul McStay in the middle of the park and just go and fucking play around him. Do you know what I mean?
I'm kind of swaying more to that than what Connor said is absolutely right. Like I said, I used the word foundation. We needed a strong foundation for Ange to then build his team on, and without a strong foundation, it was just going to completely collapse. And we had a leader in Callum McGregor that provided that. Whether it's a case of, like Dale saying, he doesn't believe that we will build a team around a player again. I'm with you, Bhoycie, more of like I don't see it happening either. It is more of a like how it's a team is built around the ideology of how a manager wants to play the game. We keep hearing this, and it's not just with Ange, it's with Pep, with Arteta, with what's the boy that's went to Man United? Their system. Ten Hag. Is it going to fit their system? That Ronaldo doesn't fit his system. Lukaku didn't fit Tuchel's system. It's not about Lukaku is a great player that we need to build. Chelsea needs to build around to make sure that Lukaku's scoring the goals. Lukaku was banging the goals in Italy. So when they brought him for that record amount of fee to Chelsea, why wouldn't they have went, well, we have to play to Lukaku's strengths? Well, turns out Lukaku's strengths didn't fit Tuchel's system. And that's just the way football's moved on now. And here's the argument now that we've got Haaland coming to Man City. How does Haaland fit into Pep's system? Well, Haaland will just have to work into Pep's system, or it's that transfer is going to be a dud. It probably won't because the guy's ridiculous. But you get my point. It's not a case of we buy a player for his strengths. It's for a player that's strengths are going to improve our system.
Can I just butt in for a second there, by the way? Everton have been confirmed as the Sydney Cup opponents in the last few minutes.
The controversial Sydney Cup.
I actually did get called controversial in the media this week.
What was controversial about it?
Andrew went back to play a few friendlies in his home nation.
In his home country. Here, it's a sore news day if that's controversial. But
I think
it's Everton.
Everton. I mean, I think the Everton thing, there's a wee bit of romance there. I mean, Everton's a proper English club. Do you know what I mean? But I think there'll be some young, particularly the younger fans that are maybe hoping for a sexier name, shall we say, a more globally appealing name. But, you know, as you know, the Reverend Knowledge, Phil McGinley suggested, maybe Tim Cahill's just made a few phone calls. He's just calling the shots, because that actually, it does make sense. And we know Dell is a big Toffee fan, so he'll be enjoying that. Kaiser also letting us know that Everton have been confirmed. I've got to be honest, the tournament means fuck all to me, guys. It means nothing to me. I'm not interested. I don't even care.
I'm the same as you, mate. But
it's just a money. It's just a monetizing.
I don't think it's aimed at us, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think it's aimed at Celtic fans on this side of the water.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. It's a tourist attraction.
Listen, mate, the games I'll watch them, but I'll not really.
It's a Harlem Globetrotters moment. Eh? That's basically Australia, with the Australian legend in charge, and him going, look at my sexy superstars who are not good enough to be at the World Cup.
I tell you right now, it won't take Callum McGregor on that over. Obviously, the players that are going to be at the World Cup obviously won't be there, but he's not going to be taking his captain over there. I can't see him taking the risk of flying our captain out there and see. Oh, I can't see him playing. I can't see McGregor being. I can't see a player of that importance being wasted in a mid-season friendly where you get. You get a feisty tackle.
I think there'll be contractual obligations. There's
going to be, I don't know, is it maybe 6 weeks without any football for the World Cup? So guys like McGregor and that are going to need to take over as well. So I'd say you'll probably get the crux of the first team playing in these games. I think it is 3 games we're playing against Everton, then the other 2 Australian teams. I actually don't even know who they are, to be honest. Sydney maybe, and somebody else.
John Devlin says it's the Sydney Loving Cup.
It's a shame that other team were meant to be playing pool, but I can't remember who they were.
Who cares, man? Who cares? You know what I mean? They're sitting there looking at us making £6 million for a key haul. Anyway, lads, that's been around 17 minutes. So we better wind it up. A T.N.F has just flown in with no sound issues. No, I've had to disappear a couple of times. I'm now using earphones. I keep getting a buzzing in my ear. It's doing my fucking nothing. But that's nothing to do with anything else. You guys have not done my nothing. You've been wonderful as always. David Logue, last word to you, mate. What's happening?
I'm just melting in here, mate. I've had to move up the stairs into my daughter's room to get out the way. The missus is on holiday for 6 weeks, so I've been kicked out of the old studio, and I'm in the furnace that is my daughter's bedroom. Absolutely sweating buckets here, man. Absolutely roasting. But if I open the window, you'll just hear nothing but the dogs barking outside. So I've taken one for the team tonight, lads. Tonight, I'm just sitting here. Absolutely.
You've nailed it. Tattoo face was to buy a bulb. It's deliberate, man. The dark effect of the wee ring light. You know, it's meant to highlight the cheekbones and all that. Didn't want to see me in broad daylight, son. Swear to God. Connor, have you enjoyed doing your first full 90 minutes?
Mate, I've absolutely loved it. I mean, I was fuming last week. Like, don't get me wrong. I was raging at how that all turned out. And by the way, mate, I actually watched it back to see how shite I sounded, right? Just to do all that. And by the way, the comments in the funny side there, I actually quite appreciated that. So thank you to everyone that was commenting. And
the comments are brilliant.
No being a prick about it. So I actually did appreciate that.
You never get that on the bus, mate.
Hopefully it sounded a wee bit better this week. Obviously, I can only hear myself. But this, hopefully there wasn't any mic issues this week, and I look forward to the next one.
Sounded great, mate. You were serenading us. It was unbelievable. I was getting lost in the words. It sounded that clear and beautiful.
On that fucking note, we'll listen to Chris Sutton before he fucking gets on this, right?
Boys.
Guys, take it easy. And this is the new face of the T.N.F.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.